depth into some of the wizards in Mach 3 and a little bit more in depth of how to use the lathe and set it up. So for those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, we're going to start off with the very beginning of operating a CNC lathe. So the first operation you should do every morning when you come in and start your computer and your lathe management system app is home the machine. And I'll show you how to do that now. A little bit of explanation here about some of the buttons on here. These buttons here, this first section here, if you were to press any of these two buttons here for the Z, X and Z, that would home your machine wherever the carriage was. So you would use this if you didn't have limit switches at all on your machine. This section here, set home, this is the section we're going to use now to home our machine. So this section here, home, part coordinates, is exactly what it says. This is where you tell Mach 3 the limits of the piece of material that you have. You can also use these here, it will do the same job, and also these up here, so long as you have this selected. So now we're going to home our machine. So we turn this system on and press Z and X home. So what will happen is the Z will move quietly and home itself, and when that's homed, the Z then will home. So now the machine is homed and Mach 3 knows exactly where that carriage and where the tool is in relation to the working envelope of the machine. So now the machine is homed and Mach 3 knows exactly where the carriage is and where the tool is in relation to the working envelope of this CNC lathe. So the next job is to give Mach 3 the location of the center of the machine. Now that's done quite simply. What we're going to do is we're just going to take a shaving cut off this and then very accurately measure that and log that measurement into Mach 3. Make sure it's a nice clean cut. So now we're going to back the tool right off just to give us some room to go in there and accurately measure it. And now we can very accurately measure it. So that's 3781. Okay, now there's a couple of little things that you probably need to know about Mach 3 turn. Now I am set in diameter mode, But this figure, this measurement that we've just taken, we need to divide that by 2 and put that number in. That will give Mach3 the actual center line of the whole machine. So let's pull up calculator. 781 divided by 2 equals 18.905. Okay, so now we alter the window here again to the part coordinates, and you notice that this changed, and in the X we write in there 18.905. Enter. Calculator off. So just to make sure that that number is right, we can check this by running the X until that reads 0. In actual fact, we can use Mach to do that automatically for us, and we'll do that right now, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so you can see the machine now, and we're looking at the tool post, and you can see the screen. I'm going to show you what to do this automatically, and it's very simply done. There's a little window here that you can write your own G code in, and we're going to give it a very simple command, the most simple command in G code language, and that is X 0. When I press enter, this is going to go straight to 0. Slowly. But it will go there. In actual fact, I'll abort that, and we'll make it a little quicker, because I'll raise the jog speed up. I just rose it up to 20%. I don't know whether you saw what I did then. This is where you raise and lower the jog speed in the window up here. And I've just taken it 20%, so we'll do that action again. It was a little bit too slow. So we're going to go X0 command. It's going to go there a little quicker this time. And what I'll do now is I'll run the tool up to the material, and we can eyeball, and we can even put a ruler on there too, to double check ourselves to see whether it is actually the center of the workpiece, and indeed the center of the lathe itself. And indeed that does look to be centered. So the first job you normally undertake when you have a piece of raw billet material in your chuck is you normally face it off. So we're going to pull a wizard up in Mach3, and I'm going to show you 2 different operations with a simple facing of material. The first operation is cutting from the center of the material out, and the second way that we fill the wizard out, it allows it to cut from the outside inwards. So to get a wizard, you come up here where it says wizards, pick a wizard, lathe turning wizards, and run. So these are the different wizards in Mach3. The first wizard we are going to use in the first operation is this one here, which is the OD face-in. Click that one, And this is a wizard, or a dialog screen, or the new age term for this type of thing is a conversational, where the computer communicates with you. So the first one we're going to fill in, and this is the area where it makes the difference and tells Mach3 which direction you wish to come in from. So, and it all comes down to indicating where you want to start and where you want to end. So if you say, if I leave this at 0 and say to Mach3, I want you to come out 20 millimeters, saying 20 millimeters will bring us off the material. And notice I am working with a radius here, not a diameter. So to log that in, you highlight it so it grays it, put your numbers in and press enter. If you do not press enter, each time you make an alteration in one of these boxes, Mach3 will ignore it. Plunge feed rate. Now, through experience, I know 2 inches a minute or 50 millimeters a minute is quite sufficient for aluminium. The harder the material, obviously the slower the plunge rate. So we're going to write 50 millimeters here. Press enter. So that's telling Mach3 how quickly to move the tool into the material. Z start. Now the Z is obviously this lateral way, as indicated here in this little diagram. So what I like to do is I like to start a cut off the material. So I'm going to ask Mach3 to start at 0.5, enter. So that's half a millimeter. Now half a millimeter is, roughly speaking, 20 thousandths of an inch. 1 millimeter represents 39.5 thousandths of an inch, just to give you some sort of guide. We want to end at minus, because anything this side of the material face is a minus figure. Everything that side of the material face is a plus. So what we do, we say minus 1 millimeter, press enter. Now the clearance, I normally like to use a millimeter. I like plenty of room. Enter. Cutting feed rate is 100 millimeters a minute, which is 4 inches a minute, which is quite it's okay. You know, it's not terribly fast, but it's fast enough for this little machine, I think. Cutting depth. Now this is aluminium, so I'm going to say 0.4 and enter. And the finishing is I normally run at 50% speed of the roughing speed. So that is 50 millimeters a minute, 2 inches a minute. And the finishing pass is going to be 0.125. I'm going to save settings and post the code. That looks pretty good to me. So now we're going to exit this and run the machine. And set the machine up and then run it. So the first job we need to do is tell Mach3 where the end of this tool is in relation to the end of the material. And that's very, very simply done. I'll bring it up to the material, and I'm just going to reduce the jog rate. It's nice and slow. I'm going to come in very quietly. Okay, just taking a scratch there. So we have our part coordinate selected. Now I can either come here and select 0, or I can go up here and select 0. Really doesn't matter. So it alters it up here anyway. So now I'm going to take the tool off the material to a fairly safe distance, and we'll start the code running. And we'll start our lathe up, and we'll see what it makes of it. About 1,000 RPM is fine. And I'm going to start the program going. We're going into the auto screen and pressing cycle start, and here we go. So the first cut won't actually cut anything. Second roughing. Now this should be a finished pass. Oh, here's the finished pass. I'll just bring you in and show you this. And that is a perfect cut. In actual fact, we can make it a little better than perfect by cutting it the other direction. Okay, so we go back into the wizards again. I'll choose this wizard. Now our numbers are all still there. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this around. So this time we're going to say we want to start at 20 millimeters, and we want to end at 0. That's the only thing we need to change in this. And post the code. Come out of this screen. Go into manual. Now theoretically, if we put in here Z minus 1, that should give us our new Z0 position. So we'll put in our G-code window Z minus 1 millimeter, press enter, and it should happen. I'll zoom you into that. I think you will agree that's pretty well touching that material. So what that is proving is, once Mach 3 has a known location, you can do several different operations and never have to touch off again for this particular part. So now we're going to run this code. So I'm going to move the tool off to a safe location, and now we're going to run that code, which is going to machine a millimeter off this surface, but it's going to start from the outside and machine it in, which actually is preferable. And that, of course, is a beautiful finish. Okay, so I think we'll draw it to a close there for this video.